Good evening. Welcome, everybody, to Chicago Acapella's virtual salute to Jonathan Miller. My name is Matt Greenberg. I'm the Executive Director of Chicago Acapella. And before we get underway, I thought I should give you just a little bit of background. As many of you know, if not all of you, Jonathan Miller founded Chicago Acapella back in 1993. And he served as our artistic director for 27 seasons. He stepped down in 2020, just last year, but our plans to honor him in 2020 were understandably interrupted by COVID. So we've decided we're honoring him with two events this year in 2021. First, tonight is our virtual salute. We've got a wonderful group of Jonathan's Chicago Acapella colleagues from over the years. You'll hear some wonderful stories as we kind of reflect on his accomplishments. And we've got some video performances as well that are going to help bring back some of those wonderful memories. And then this fall, we're planning an in-person tribute for Jonathan at our fall gala event that's coming up on Sunday, November 14th. Yes, an actual in-person live event, we hope, this coming November, a chance to honor Jonathan in person, having all of us in the same room at the same time, and having the ensemble sing his music. So that's going to be very special. Now, we don't have a gala event this spring, like we usually do, but I do want to thank those of you who have made a donation along with your ticket purchase for tonight's event. Your support is so meaningful to us, especially this spring and this season, which has been so trying and so unusual. And if you haven't had a chance to do that yet, it is not too late. You'll notice there is a donate option on the right-hand side of your screen. If for some reason you don't see that, just click the little arrow at the top right-hand side of the screen. And your support not only will honor Jonathan, of course, but it will help sustain the wonderful legacy that he has left us. And so with that, I think it's time to introduce the man of the hour himself, Jonathan. And his wife, Sandy, is with us. Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Great to see you. You look wonderful. So nice to see your faces.
It's so wonderful to be here. We're just thrilled, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you.
It is going to be fun
for showing up.
I hope you're ready to take a little walk down memory lane with us, a little stroll down memory lane with some very familiar, probably some familiar stories and certainly some familiar faces, familiar to you and I think familiar to our audiences as well. So to get started, I'm going to bring in the man whose sort of unenviable job, I guess, is that he was coming to replace the founder of Chicago Acapella. But not only that, we decided to really make it challenging and bring in our new artistic director in 2020, the craziest, most challenging year of all time. But here he is. This is our wonderful artistic director, John William Trotter. Hello, John.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi.
Hi, Sandy. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
You too.
I can't see you without seeing all the food that you bring for the first performance.
Let's just imagine there's a table full of food for everyone.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea.
That's
a good idea. I have one right down here. You just can't. See it. So the thing about Jonathan, to talk about him in the third person, even though he's right here, is that as the founder, he's irreplaceable. And as the founder, he wraps the personality of the organization that he dreamt up around his own personality. That's just how it goes with founders. So Jonathan is a singer. So Chicago Acapella is singer-centric, right? The singers aren't hidden at the back of the stage with a conductor's back facing you. Jonathan has a really engaging personality. And so the singers' personalities are front and center. That's why our audience gets to actually know who's up there with them. Jonathan lives life really fully, and he's interested in learning and in so many aspects of life. And that's why so many of his programs take people on adventures, which is one of the things we all love about what he does. Jonathan has a sense of humor in just about everything he does. If you logged in early, you saw that photo of him listening, and he's just smiling. It's just his normal way of being. And so the shows are not just engaging and personable, but often funny. And often funny right before they become really, really poignant. And so he's not afraid of emotion. And there's always this magic moment in each show where people just sort of let down their guard and and the thing comes into them. And a conversation with Jonathan, if it lasts more than 5 minutes, is going to have a moment like that in it as well. And Jonathan is a legitimate academic. He has like real creds. And so he does actual research on stuff, which is why he's able to bring things that no one else has heard of, and very often that don't exist yet in their fullness until he decides that it's a great idea. So there's really nothing like him, and that's why there's nothing like what Chicago Acapella is. Now, there is a video which attempts to bring us through many of the performances and different perspectives and approaches and programs that he's put together over time. And here is that.
When I started Chicago Acapella in 1993, I had been an active professional ensemble singer and occasional vocal soloist on the Chicago scene for about 10 years. And what I saw missing in the classical vocal music scene here in Chicago was a really wide variety of repertoire. And I wanted to have an organization that people would know was fun.
Oh, yeah. I never get tired of seeing that. Oh, that's lovely. So just imagine working on each of those as a jewel on its own, and then in 2 minutes, seeing it all flash before your eyes. And you'll know what Jonathan is going through right now. Now, one of the things about Jonathan is he's always been able to spot talent, spot people sometimes before others could, who would have something to offer, something unique, and who might be able to offer it for years and years into the future. And one of the people that Jonathan discovered, at least will claim such a thing, is Trevor Mitchell, who many of you will recognize as soon as you see him.
Hi, guys. Thank you, John, very much. And it's great to see you, Jonathan and Sandy. Listen, I have to tell you that I did not know Jonathan before Chicago Acapella. I suppose I was under a rock or something, but I remember being at a Chicago Symphony rehearsal, and our friend and colleague, John Concepcion, came up to me at a break and said, hey, Trevor, I need a favor. He said, I just got hired for lyric chorus, but I've signed up for this ensemble, and I need somebody to sub for me. Really, I just really need this. And I said, no. I had just been back in Chicago. I didn't want to do another ensemble. And he said, Trevor, please, I just go. Great people, you'll love it. The sales pitch, whatever. I said, fine. I go over to Ascension. I meet Jonathan. And Jonathan starts to tell me about this ensemble and his ideas, and where I didn't feel sold. I certainly was sold at the end of it. And what he said to me, I think that was sort of a hook, is he said, this is going to be very unique. You will be, one of 9 soloists that come together as an ensemble, and you come in and out of the texture. And then he was so excited. If you know Jonathan, you know what happens when he's really excited about something. Like, he is all in, and and he said, and I have 3 bass voices here, because you really need that foundation. And he was just so passionate about it. And I remember him playing, and I sang, and then we sang some stuff together. And then I got a call saying, hey, can you, will you do these concerts? I think there were 2 or 3. And I jumped in and I sang them. And then I came back at Jonathan's invitation, and I just kept coming back. But what I want to say about what it's like singing with Jonathan, because he is so absolutely prepared in everything that he does, whether it's, regaling us with stories about math camp. You just knew this guy was going to be on his stuff, and, really sincere, hardworking, and really prepared. And so I remember all of those things about him, but I also remember that, like with any performance, things can get off and, get a little out of sync. To my right was always Jonathan with these beautiful Russian low tones that were just rock solid. He was rhythmically right there all the time. And you look over at him and he'd give you that smile and nod that he's famous for. And it was just amazing to sing with him, to have that foundation, not just musically, but also to have someone so engaged and so passionate about what he does and about this ensemble. And it has worked out, because when you look at the growth of the ensemble from the inception until now, it is mind-boggling. And the fact that we are weathering the COVID storm because of so many people believing in us, it all started because of him. So with that, I'd like to have you watch with me a nice video montage of Jonathan singing.
Well, roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan. Wanna go to heaven when I die. Roll, Jordan, roll. Yeah, then mother, you ought to been there. Oh, mother, you ought to been there. Mother, you ought to been there. Roll, Jordan, roll. Hey, you can say roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan. I wanna go to heaven when I die. Oh, roll, Jordan, roll. Yeah, then Father, you ought to been there. Oh, Father, you ought to been there. My Father, you ought to been there. Roll, Jordan, roll. Then you can say roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan, roll now, Jordan, roll now. Jordan, wanna go to heaven when I die. Roll, Jordan, yeah. Then sister, you ought to been there. Oh, sister, you ought to been there. My sister, you ought to been there. Roll, Jordan, yeah. Then you can say roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan, roll, Jordan. And wanna go to heaven when I die. Roll, Jordan, I said, brother, you ought to been there now. Oh, brother, you ought to been there. Brother, you ought to been there. Roll, Jordan, then you could say roll, let it roll, roll on, Jordan, roll now. Wanna go to heaven when I die. Roll, Jordan, roll, roll, roll.
I remember those performances really, really, really well. And remember how hard we rehearsed every single nuance of that, and then had the opportunity, obviously, to perform it. And then to record it. With that, I'd love to hand it over to my good friend and mezzo-soprano colleague, Betsy Grizel.
Thanks, Trevor. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Jonathan. It is so good to see you guys, and so great to hear you again, Jonathan. Oh, that roll, Jordan, roll is really something. Of course, I'm now going to talk about you as if you're not here in the third person, as John said, because that's my job. I sang with Chicago a cappella from 1999 through 2015. I cannot tell you how much I miss it. But I can tell you there's something about Mr. Jonathan Miller. Jonathan is one of the nicest people on the planet, a truly, truly kind soul. And I think this is one of the things that makes you, Jonathan, such a great collaborator. Who wouldn't want to work with a truly nice artist? Jonathan and I worked together in putting together 2 programs, The Birds and the Bees in 2010, and All About the Women in 2012. And Jonathan, you could not have been a kinder collaborator. Helpful when needed, backing off when requested, but always with a great goal in mind, making our project a success. You know, everyone, Jonathan does his research. He does his homework because he's truly interested in what the other artist has to offer and how he can highlight that. And of course, how to bring it all home to the audience. Jonathan has collaborated with all kinds. Look, old school, paper. With storytellers in programs like The Nordic Wolf and Go Down Moses. Tango and Spanish dancers in Through Argentine Eyes and a cappella and Espanol. Other musicians of all sorts. Patrick Sinisic on piano for The Red Carpet of Sound. Rollo Dilworth on piano for The Birth of Gospel. We had a percussionist in Chicago a cappella +1, and various other choirs and choruses, including the Chicago Children's Choir, which is where young Jonathan Miller got his singing start. Award-winning actors have included Barbara Robertson in All About the Women, and Shakespeare a cappella, which also included award-winning writer Tom Mula. Composers aplenty: Paul Crabtree, Tanya Leone, Stacy Garup, a kind collaborator herself. Narrators, curators, educators. WTTW's Jeffrey Bear narrated Chicago, Chicago. History of Rock and Soul, Part 1 and Part 2, with the one and only Terry Hemmert. And The Birds and the Bees redo with Dr. Laura Berman and Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Holy smokes. And of course, over the years, scores of singers and guest directors, all to make the Chicago a cappella experience something interesting and special, not only for the audiences, but for the collaborating artists as well. It's a real gift that you have, Jonathan, for doing this. And now why don't we watch just a little bit of just such a collaboration. It's our performance of Sevillanas, featuring members of the Ensemble Español Spanish Dance Theater. Don't you just need a sangria after that? Here's to you, Jonathan and Sandy. Oh, Sandy, I mean, what would go well with a sangria? She would bring a nice charcuterie tray or something. Oh, I have to mention one more collaborator who's worked with Jonathan on a number of projects, including American Anthem and A Night at the Opera. It's my dear friend and the kindest of colleagues, Catherine Camp.
Oh, thanks, Betsy. It's so great to be working with you again, if only for a night. And hi, Jonathan. Hi, Sandy. It's so wonderful to see you and to be here with our Chicago a cappella community to celebrate you and your incredible achievements. Jonathan's love of Jewish music is no secret. He programmed a whopping 6 concerts and 1 CD featuring texts and melodies from the Jewish tradition and other works by contemporary Jewish composers. He also wrote many of the arrangements that we performed. Jonathan's selections of Jewish music found its way into many other Chicago a cappella programs over the years as well. Perhaps one of my most favorite pieces was performed not in one of the all-Jewish or holiday programs. Rather, it appeared in the Polish Splendor concert. Yes, that nifty Polish Jewish tango just danced away with my heart, and I'm still looking for it. More on that piece in a little bit, but I mention it specifically because when I heard it, it completely blew my mind. And every time I hear it, it completely blows my mind. Without Jonathan's curiosity, I wouldn't have known about it or many other pieces of music. I learned a lot about Jewish music from Jonathan, as he was always more than willing to provide greater context about each piece so that we, the singers in turn, would be better able to convey the deeper meaning to the audience. He also taught me the golden rule related to the proper delivery of Hebrew texts. There is no such thing as too much ch. Oh, sorry. Well, it was through these programs that I learned something much more valuable from Jonathan. I learned that it is essential that those of us entrusted with programming must draw upon what we are most passionate about when we're creating an experience for the audience. We have to honor what is deep within our soul, do what we can to enable the singers to give their fullest voice to the themes explored, and trust that our excitement and love of what we crafted in that program will be received in turn with open hearts and open minds. Thank you, Jonathan, for teaching me this valuable lesson and for sharing your excitement and love of Jewish music with me and the entire Chicago a cappella family. I can't hear that without becoming verklempt. Thank you, Jonathan. I'd like to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Patrick Sinizich. Patrick served as our very first music director for many years and also has filled the roles of programmer and arranger for some of our most popular and most fun programs, including The History of Rock and Soul, parts 1 and 2. Hey, Patrick.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you. And what an incredible solo on Alvino Malkenu and all the singers. I was reaching for my Kleenex. I can't, it's so gorgeous. I'm Patrick Sinizich, and I go way, way back with Chicago a cappella and Jonathan Miller, because I was the accompanist for the first 14 singers who auditioned for the group in 1993. And I've been both participant and observer of what Jonathan called in his program notes to the inaugural concerts, the group's continuing ability to learn, perform, share, and revel in music from the whole spectrum of genres that make up our collective musical culture. Jonathan's early experiences in the Chicago Children's Choir exposed him, I think, to a very wide range of music, from Palestrina to gospel to Bernstein and more. I suspect that it was those early experiences with the CCC that sparked the intellectual curiosity that has become his calling card. Jonathan studied mathematics and music at the University of Chicago. And having lived with a U of C graduate for 7 years, I can only describe those who have studied there as quirky. Eager to learn research tools for repertoire, Jonathan then pursued a musicology degree, earning his PhD in historical musicology at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, in 1991, while remaining an active performer. By the way, his dissertation, Word, Sound, and Musical Texture in the mid-16th century Venetian Madrigal, is available online for only $41. I'm getting my copy as soon as the show is over. Jonathan's programming has always been immensely unique. And I mean, who else can make connections between the Beatles and the Baroque, or program an entire concert around the musical food groups? His concert subjects have cavorted from spirituals to jazz, from Shakespeare to Frank Lloyd Wright, deep rivers and Argentine eyes. Jonathan Marcus Miller's programmatic flights of fancy soar to unimaginable landing spots, Renaissance masses, doo-wop, rock and roll, and opera. And funny, but his name just doesn't sound Jewish. Chicago a cappella has sung music from Spain, Sweden, Latvia, and Greece, France, and Iceland, Africa, Australia, and Japan, Argentina, India, Iceland, Ireland, Nigeria. What next, Jonathan? Holiday songs from the moon? At any rate, Jonathan's sometimes charming, sometimes challenging musical offerings are always entertaining and thought-provoking, leaving many an audience member to ask, where do you find this stuff? And it is only in the perceptive, penetrating, and unpredictable mind of Jonathan Miller that we can find an answer. Perhaps exhausting all of the possibilities of nearby and accessible sources, Jonathan decided at one point to cast his net a bit wider, first on a research trip to Mexico, and then in pursuit of Polish splendor. The 2014 Mexican excursion resulted in Jonathan's introduction to a myriad of musical treasures, as well as the urgent need to purchase more luggage. He literally had to buy another suitcase because of the dozens of CDs and thousands of pages of sheet music he'd acquired. A small portion of this treasure trove resulted in the concerts of Fiesta Coral Mexicana, a colorful celebration of the music of Mexico, and an honor of the Mexican-American community that's right here in Chicago. As an arranger, connecting with another of Chicago's vital communities, Jonathan undertook a second research trip this time to Poland, the crossroads of Europe. What he found, contrary to his expectations of folk music arrangements, was an abundance of the rich variety of music from Poland, old and new. In the concert titled Polish Splendor, the singers did indeed bring to life traditional folk songs and also compelling new works by rising composers, and the popular music of pre-World War II Europe, klezmer, and cabaret, including many in their North American debut. And just as past programs celebrated cities of Chicago, and for Mexico City, Mia Ciudad, this concert of Polish music featured an ode to the capital city of Poland, based on a 1932 recording and arranged by our honored musicologist / researcher / arranger, Jonathan Miller. Listen to the tender longing of Warszawa, moja Warszawa, Warsaw, my Warsaw.
Jesteś miastem, rodzinę mą, Warszawo, moja Warszawo, odwieź miejski brud, słyszał serca twego snu, Warszawo, cudna Warszawo, jestem ci tobie, nocą i dnia, nie znajdę lepsze, chociaż szukali mnie więcej. Ach, o Warszawo, ja kocham cię. Warszawo, jestem ci tobie, nocą i dniem, nie znajdę lepsze, chociaż szukali mnie więcej. Ach, o Warszawo, ja kocham cię.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. Jonathan, what a fantastic arrangement and what great singing. And now please welcome a longtime member of the Chicago A Cappella Board of Directors, the longest time member actually, and someone who our audiences all know from his friendly presence at our concerts. And yes, he attends virtually every performance, Bill Flowers.
Thanks, Patrick. Matt invited me to my first CAC concert in 2000. I loved it from the first note and got in the habit of coming to each concert by bringing friends and family. And you'd bring one group to Evanston one night and another group to Oak Park the next night. And that's just the way it worked out. I volunteered for Chicago Acapella with installing the accounting system and a couple other things with Matt, and was asked to join the board several years later. Chicago Acapella was on its fourth chair in less than 2 years at that time. Without naming names, Jonathan had married one and two others had left on their own. When Jonathan and I went to lunch to discuss the situation, we agreed that marriage was out, but we had to find a way to make this last. I remember stating that there was no reason Jonathan and I shouldn't remain friends for the rest of our lives. I, for one, think we've done a pretty good job and are on our way. Sandy and I have spent years taking care of the singers and each other during the concerts. We have always been able to make each other laugh, but no one is a better audience than Jonathan Miller. We have all witnessed him go from falling out laughter to tears of emotion and back to laughter in the span of minutes. You may even see a little of that now on your screen if you look closely. Whether on stage, in private, or in one of his famous videos, he is fearless and totally qualifies as a ham. There's no one like him, as you'll see in this next video.
You've heard I chose to retire in a year in mid-2020. And you know, a committee was formed to decide who the new me should be. I'm so sad. This lame duck existence is not all that it's cracked up to be. So I'm thinking, okay, so what if I just called it off and decided to stay? In my new fantasy, I'll return as king of CAC. After all, time will tell. You'll remember that I served you well. Quiet rise, quiet fall. We have seen each other through it all. Yes, it's hard to let go. So I'll dream of 27 more years when I will keep running the show. Now I have no regrets. It was time to move on. And Matt's been getting excited about having me gone. For decades you all I've led. Now you have such a bright future ahead. But when I'm tucked in bed, still I can dream of remaining your head forever and ever, forever and ever and ever. In my dream, on my throne, I can program concerts all alone. Scholarly rabbit holes, new transcriptions from the Dead Sea Scrolls, myths and legends and fairy tales, and no more worries about ticket sales. And when push would come to shove, I would music direct every future program, oh, just like old times, to remind you of my love. Ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da da. Everybody, ya da 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 ya da 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 ya.
one like him. Truly. Now I'd like to introduce you to the wonderful mezzo-soprano and founding member of Chicago Acapella, Susan Schober.
Hi, Bill. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Sandy. Oh, I'm gonna start crying right now, but let's see if I can say all my things about Jonathan and how much I adore him without crying. We'll see if I can make it. So, when I met Jonathan nearly 30 years ago, I was a very young, very green musician. I was 17, and this was my first professional gig, and I was terrified. Now, Jonathan, who was singing tenor of all things in our quartet, knew how old I was, but he never blinked an eye. I wasn't a kid to him. I was just a musician with whom he could share his love of making music together as a group. His enthusiasm and kindness were boundless. His knowledge and passion were extraordinary. He inspired me, and he helped me to believe that I could create great things and make beautiful music. Now, many years later, when I wanted to help Chicago Acapella expand its creative vision into working with young singers, Jonathan was immediately on board and incredibly supportive. We both shared a background in the Chicago Children's Choir, which you've heard about tonight, an experience that shaped both of our lives as musicians and teachers. And he was thrilled that Chicago Acapella would be a part of sharing the joy of making music together with a new generation of young singers. What can I do? How can I help? He said. Now, watching Jonathan work with young singers reminded me of the magic of the Chicago Children's Choir and of my very first time meeting him years before. These were young children, some without a lot of experience, but he never spoke with them as if they were anything other than fellow musicians with whom he could share his experiences, knowledge, and passion for ensemble singing. In a really magical moment that I remember, we were having a casual lunch, me and Jonathan and Matt, across the street from the Chicago Acapella offices, and Jonathan had just come back from a research trip to Mexico, and he was brimming with excitement. Now, as it would happen, Matt and I had just attended a Chorus America session given by Vocal Essence in Minneapolis, where they talked about this amazing Cantaré program, which brought Mexican composers to the US to work with public school students. I told him about the program, and he started to vibrate with joy. Yes, he said, we need to make that happen. Now, he never even entertained the possibility, despite all the challenges it would entail, that we would not bring this program to Chicago. And so we did. His support and passion have been key to the success of Chicago Acapella's education and outreach programming. Together, we worked with groups of students from all over the country in master classes and workshops, and even our own high school choral festival. He has generously shared his wisdom, his kindness, his musicianship, and the students always walk away inspired and ready to take on the world. And now let's watch Jonathan as he works with some students singing one of my very favorite songs.
Thank you.
that was wonderful. Thank you, Susan, for reminding us of that wonderful memory, and all for everything that you did to make all that happen as well. It was kind of fun to see Susan and me and Jonathan, the three of us, were on that very first program together all those years ago. And it's my joy to kind of wrap up our little Love Fest, Jonathan, tonight by reflecting a little bit on his role as the founder, which, as John said earlier in the evening, that's kind of perhaps the most important thing he's done for this organization. We wouldn't be here without that. I was lucky enough to witness the very beginning of Chicago a cappella. I'd known Jonathan for several years before it began because we were both singing around town. And it was on the way home from a gig. I remember Jonathan was driving me home and started telling me about this dream that he had. At that point, it was probably more like a plan, actually, than a dream. It had gone beyond just the dream stage for a small professional vocal ensemble of both men and women that could sing every style of music imaginable, from Renaissance music and classical choral works to contemporary music and spirituals and folk music and vocal jazz and a cappella pop, and do all of it in a very convincing and compelling way. He didn't want people that sounded like classical opera singers trying to sing a different style and having it be awkward. He really wanted it to be true to the style, whatever that style was. And of course, to do all that without a conductor. And he asked me sort of in passing, like, I've got this idea. Is that something you'd be interested in being a part of? And I could just barely contain myself because he was basically describing my fantasy. I said, you know, I'm in. That sounds absolutely exciting. I'd love to be a part of that. I was lucky enough to pass the very first audition that he held for the group and sang on that first concert, as I said, and sort of never looked back. It was a couple of years after that when I started working on the administrative side with Jonathan. And that is when I really understood sort of firsthand a lot of things. I understood his amazing intellect, his unbelievable instincts for marketing and public relations and organizational development, none of which, by the way, he had formal training in. He just had these amazing instincts on how to make this work. But I also saw the sacrifices that he made, particularly in those early days, but for many years to make this ensemble a reality. It was definitely not smooth sailing all the time. And Jonathan really sacrificed a lot to make the ensemble happen. I also began to understand that he was sort of inviting me, allowing me to be his partner in this thing, not just, you know, a sidekick. And he began trusting me to take a larger and larger role in actually guiding the company. You know, we've all heard of founder syndrome, and it's pretty standard operating procedure for young startups to be completely devoured by their founder. And we never had that at Chicago a cappella, and it's because of Jonathan's trust and generosity. It's really unique and very unusual to have that in a founder. Of course, he's given all of us the wonderful gift of his talent and his vision and his creativity and his music. But to me, the most wonderful gift, the most remarkable gift, was that he let me share this dream. And it became my dream. And it became the dream of so many other people over the years. So you have given us this wonderful organization, which we now have the privilege of carrying on into the future. And I know there are a lot of people who are grateful for that, but no one is more grateful than I am. Thank you. So before we bring everybody back in and finally let Jonathan say a few words, he's been muted this whole time, the poor guy. This is very unusual for Jonathan Miller not to get a word in edgewise, I will say. I do want to share with you a performance that we created just last summer, just before Jonathan was officially stepping down. And it was particularly special because Jonathan joined the ensemble to sing Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Oh, that was wonderful. I think we might need a minute to let everybody dry their eyes after that. But Jonathan, you know, we have been talking about you for a long time now, so I do want to give you the chance to step in here and say a few words.
Thanks, Matt. Well, what an amazing evening. I'm just humbled and honored and blown away by all the sweet and kind things that everyone has said. And to have the privilege to be part of this incredible community of singers and board members and volunteers and all of you who have come to hear us for all these years is just one of the great privileges of my life. And just what a great chance to come together and see some things I haven't seen for a long time, see some people I haven't seen for a long time. I can't thank you all enough for being here. And thanks to all of you who who have stayed confident in Chicago a cappella through a very difficult year. The future is incredibly bright. It couldn't be in better hands with all of the musicians, everyone in the organization, and all of you who are here tonight. So, so long live Chicago a cappella, and just so happy to be here tonight.
Thank you, Jonathan. Well, this has been a joy, and we're looking forward to actually being in the same room with you and giving you a big hug and a handshake to celebrate you and Sandy, actually, on November 14th. So I hope everybody has marked your calendars for that. It's going to be great to hear the ensemble perform your music live on that special afternoon. I want to again thank all of you who made a contribution tonight, either along with your ticket order or during the event. I encourage all of you to continue supporting Chicago a cappella to honor Jonathan's incredible legacy and make sure that it continues to flourish for years to come. To my fellow presenters tonight, thank you all. It's been so great to hang out with you for a while and see all of you. Thank you for your time and your wonderful words. And thank you, Jonathan, of course, again, for everything you've done. And I know will continue to do for us in the future. So thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
So when I came on board with Chicago a cappella, it was the beginning of the pandemic. And I remember having a conversation with Matt Greenberg where I said, "Did you really want me to start now?" And he said, "Oh yes, we really, really do." So starting a job like this in the middle of a pandemic is not the normal way to go about things. But we always knew we'd have to do some things new, so instead we did everything new. The listening clubs that we did, and the podcasts, and the virtual videos, and the Zoom connection things, and the StreamYard productions, all those were a way to capture aspects of what we do that the audience doesn't often get the chance to see. We also were sure that when the world ended, that we paid the singers for the work that was canceled, that couldn't be replaced. Just to say to them that we didn't know how long this would be for, but we were with them, ongoing. And just the few opportunities we've had like that, combined with the chances to work virtually in ways we didn't do before, I think have actually made us stronger in the end of it. Before the pandemic hit, we had a 3-year artistic plan, which we were really excited about, which are bigger projects that involve often a sort of diversity lens or an access lens that requires us to build more connections with more folks, sort of like we've done with Her Voice. Her Voice is public now, but it started a year ago.
Her Voice is a mentorship program and a competition. It starts off as a competition for women all over the world. We have no entrance fee, so anybody who wants to write a choir piece can submit it and try out for it.
And this year we had entries from about a dozen different countries, 20 to 30 different states, more than 70 pieces overall. And all the people who enter are part of the circle, who are in on Zoom calls and other opportunities with the panel, who are really experienced composers in their own right and who network therefore together, all the folks who entered. We also pick a small number of winners who have their works workshopped intensively after mentorship sessions with the mentor composers themselves. And we had 2 of those with us today.
This competition featuring women composers, the importance is, it can't be overstated. During my mentorship, Zenaida and I talked about specifically being Black women in the field of composition. It's just a very stark contrast from what we're taught in school and what's, the norm. It's mostly for representation, to see yourself in that role and to see, I can do that too, I can be there, I can be in that space, really helps to foster courage and confidence in what you do, because so many people, I'm sure there are plenty of female composers who say, well, I'm doing it, but I don't see it, so I don't know if I should put it out. It's not really out there.
Everyone who gets into composing wants to write music. We write beautiful music, but so it sits there on my piano at home and no one hears it, right? Learning, getting ideas on how to market things, what I should be doing, that was extremely helpful.
We know that not as many women are composers as men. It's just still, unfortunately, the reality of where we are. So to have a competition this unique that is aimed at women all over, that's free to apply, that gives you mentorship training in the business aspects, even if you don't get selected, I think makes us very unique. And I'm very excited about what we do.
And we're not done with those composers yet. We have plans to involve them in future years' stuff. Similarly, the ideas that you'll be hearing from us in the next year have an impetus that is going to last beyond this season. And I'm just really looking forward to what's next.
Tengo hoy tantos recuerdos que son como el viento que cae en tu boca y enciende mis sueños y estoy a tu lado, besándote cada rincón de tu alma. Y es que no sabes cuánto huyo de mi oscuridad sin ti. Y es que no sabes cuánto te amo, cada día más, mucho más, siempre mi anhelo es
I'll be the roundabout. The words will make you out and out. I'll spend the day your way. Cold and morning, driving through the sun and in and out the valley. The music dance and sing. They make the children really ring. I spend the day away. Cold and morning, driving through the sun and in and out the valley. In and around the lake. Mountains come out of the sky and they stand there. 1 mile over, we'll be there and I'll see you. Summers will be there and laughing too. and they stand there. 1 mile over, we'll be there and we'll see you. 10 true summers, we'll be there and laughing too. 24 before our love you'll see, I'll be there with you. Along the drifting cloud, the eagle searching down on the land. Catching the swirling wind, the sailor sees the rim of the land. The eagle's dancing wings create as weather spins out of hand. Look closer, hold the land, feel hardly no more than grains of sand. We stand to lose all time, 1,000 answers lie in our hand. Next to your deeper fears, we stand surrounded by a million years. I'll be the roundabout, the words will make you out and out. You spend the day around. Cold and morning, driving through the sun and in and out the valley. In and around the lake, mountains come out of the sky and they stand there. 1 mile over, we'll be there and we'll see you. 10 true summers, we'll be there and laughing too. 24 before my love you'll see, I'll be there with you. Da 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 da
was the year it all began. Deadly pains of hunger drove 1 million from the land.
They journeyed not for glory, their motive not was greed, a voyage of survival across the stormy sea.
To the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming hills of Donegal.
Some of them knew fortune, some of them knew fame, more of them knew hardship and died upon the plain.
They spread throughout the nation, they rode the railroad cars, brought their songs and music to ease their lonely hearts.
To the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal.
Dreaming of Donegal.
It was a lover and his lass with a hay in the hole and a hay nanny no. But o'er the green cornfields did pass in springtime, the only pretty ringtime. But birds to sing, hey ding a ding ding, hey ding a ding ding, a ding ding a ding ding. So the lovers love the spring.
Between the acres of the rye,
with a hay in the hoe and a hay nanny no.
these pretty country fools would lie in
Springtime, in springtime, the only pretty ringtime.
when birds do sing, hey ding a ding a ding,
Hey ding a ding ding a ding ding a ding ding. Sweet lovers love the spring, and therefore take the present time with the hay and the hoe and the hay nanny no. For love is crowded with the bright in springtime, the only pretty ringtime. The birds do sing, hey ding a ding ding, hey ding a ding ding, a ding ding a ding. Sweet lovers love, lovers love the spring. Cause the sun shines.
Warszawo, cudna Warszawo, Ty jesteś miastem, rodzinem mym. Warszawo, moja Warszawo, odwieź miejski wróg, słyszał serca twego snu. Warszawo, cudna Warszawo, jestem przy Tobie noc i dniem. Jest najlepsze, chociaż szukam i nie będzie. Ach, o Warszawo, ja kocham Cię.
Jestem żytornie, noca i dniem, nie znajdę lepsze, chociaż szukam im więcej. Ach, to Warszawa, ja kocham Cię.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Remember me to the one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. She once was a true love.
Tell her to make me a cambric shirt, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, without no seam nor fine needlework. Then she'll be a true love of mine.
Have her find me an acre of land, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Between the salt water and the sea strands, then she'll be a true love of
Tell her to reap it with a sickle of leather. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, and gather it all in a bunch of heather. Then she'll be a true love of mine.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Remember me to the one who lives there. She once was a true love of mine. She once was a true love of mine. In the reservoir from the pouring rain. Very strange, penny lane is in my ears and in my eyes. Is in my ears and in my eyes. So suburban in the skies, I sit and beam while back.
In Penny Lane there is a fireman with an hourglass, and in his pocket is a portrait of the Queen. He likes to keep his fire engine clean. It's a clean machine.
It's so clean.
Very clean. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. Wet beneath the blue suburban skies, I sit and meanwhile back. Voodoo-doo, 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 voodoo-doo,
Back in Penny Lane, the barber shaves another customer. We see the banker sitting waiting for a trim. And then the fireman rushes in from the pouring rain. Very strange. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. But beneath the blue suburban skies, I sit and meanwhile. Penny Lane is in my ears and in my ears, in my ears and in my eyes. Beneath the blue suburban skies, I see the blue suburban skies. Ba-doo-ah, 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 Penny Lane, ba-doo-ah, Penny Lane, ba-doo-ah, Penny Lane.
All right, well, that was something.
All right, this is my little inside picnic.
Can you see my face?
Yep.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Roaring to shake our darling bonds of May. And summer's leaves have all too short a day.
Sometime to part the sun of heaven shuts, and often is his Lord's complexion hid. And every fair from fair sometime declines.
lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death break the wondrous in his shade. When in eternal arms to time thou growest, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate, rough winds to shake the darling gods of May, and summer's beat at all to so long as May and green are right and so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Shall I compare thee to the summer? 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 Shall I compare thee? thinking they're every day I have the blues. Every dawn and I dig their way there to wake me. Every day. What about it? Oh, every day I have the blues. What are you gonna get but blue? Wish that I could help you, baby. What can I do? I got a few. Because it's you I hate to lose. What about settling? How you gonna keep me from meddling? Every day you hear him talking. Every day, they got him talking. I have the blues. Just let him have his say. Yeah. Every day, he's not denying, but he's not denying, but he's really not this way. Yeah. You see, I know he's saying because it's you I hate to lose. He's bound to lose him someday. No. It's clear, his blues are doing it every day. Just play, he'll sing and shout. I have the blues. Too late, looks like they're coming to see me. That's fate. Well, the blues take it to 'cause it's you I hate to lose. No way. Every day I did. I have the blues. I do it. I have the blues. I did. One day. The shop, deep basic and every day.